Grit. Courage. Passion. Honor. Soldiers, weapons, equipment, supplies, and reinforcements. All this and more needs to move swiftly into a battle zone in minimum possible time. Rapid mobility of troops on the ground is so crucial a factor that it can make or mar the chances of winning a battle. This is where the Corps of Engineers steps in.
During operations, our role can be broadly divided into three parts, that is mobility, counter-mobility and survivability.
Expeditious movement of troops in military combat zones involves identifying, eradicating and taming all the natural and man-made obstacles lying in their way. In some war efforts, combat engineers are the first to enter the battlefield to facilitate mobility of troops that follow. They construct tracks, bridges, helipads and ropeways for enabling movement of men and equipment. In areas suspected to have been mined by the enemy, it is the engineer's job to detect and defuse the landmines, making it safer for the troops to enter and operate. The combat engineers also make parts for battle tanks, infantry combat vehicles, large trucks and field guns to be transported to the theater of operations.
There are four pillars of the Corps of Engineers. We have the combat engineers, then we have the military engineering service, then we have the border roads, and we have the military survey.
Each one of these engineering units performs an enabling role during war as well as peace. The Army engineers are also known as sappers. Sappers are engineers by qualification. They also train in armed combat as infantry soldiers. During war, these engineers fight alongside the infantry after executing their engineering tasks. The combat engineers are experts in constructing and commissioning bridges in a very short time. They deploy a wide lineup of bridges in combat zones, suited to the landscape and demands of the battle. The engineer's arsenal includes both mechanically as well as manually launched bridges. Weighing 5,700 kilograms, the AM-50 bridge is a Tatra truck mounted mechanically launched bridge. Each bridge covers a gap of 12.5 meters. A set of 4 vehicles can bridge up to 52 meters of gap. With each bridge taking up to 7 minutes to launch, the AM-50 bridge is preferred by the engineers, especially when they are hard-pressed for time. This bridge can withstand a load of up to 70 tons. This 4-meter wide bridge can be launched by a crew of 3 engineers. A 54-meter wide water obstacle can be conquered in well under 30 minutes. Such rapid deployment could give the ground forces an upper hand against the enemy troops. Working on the principles of buoyancy, the Czech origin PMS folding pontoon bridge makes bridging over water obstacles a relatively easier task. Mounted on vehicles, this bridge is kept on Tatra trucks in a folded position. At the site of action, it is dropped into water, where it unfolds to form a wide-decked bridge almost immediately. Many such pontoons can be joined together to launch bridges up to 100 meter long and 5.5 meter wide. The engineers also deploy Krupp-Mann heavy floating assault bridges for tackling water obstacles wider than 100 meters. The German-origin Krupp-Mann bridges use members made of heavy-duty aluminum alloy. These are mounted on rubber floats, generally used for crossing rivers. These bridges have a load capacity of up to 50 tons. While laying bridges in the battlefield, a combat engineer has to also factor in locally available resources and peculiarities of the terrain while taking decisions.
At the particular site, he should be able to decide within a split second which may affect the entire operation. That is what is intellectual sharpness. His decision will affect the entire operation.
Some bridges are stored in modular forms for ease of transportation by road, water or by air using helicopters. Upon reaching the launch site, the modular components are quickly assembled and launched without wasting even a moment. In the Himalayan region, the Army engineers have constructed several bridges, including a large number of Bailey suspension bridges across rivers and deep gorges. As part of the survival tasks, the engineers also construct trenches, bunkers, and make provision for supplying electricity in the battle zone. They also help in countering improvised explosive devices. Combat engineers also hold the responsibility of removing mines and unexploded explosives planted by the enemy forces. In addition to defusing landmines, they also lay mines to weaken the adversary and slow down enemy advancement. Depending upon the threat perception, the engineers lay different types of mines in sufficient numbers to deter the enemy. India is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons. The Indian Army adheres to the guidelines governing the use of landmines outlined in Protocol 2 of this convention. This protocol deals with the prohibitions or restrictions on the use of mines, booby traps, and other devices. Once the mines are planted and concealed, the mined area is suitably fenced and marked so as to forewarn people about the presence of landmines.
Mines again can be classified into three different types: anti-tank mines, the anti-personnel mines, mine inflammable. These mines basically tend to delay the enemy, because when you are occupying defenses, you require more time to find out as to what the enemy is aiming for.
Mobility to the enemy can also be denied by demolishing bridges by using explosives. Here, explosives of suitable strengths are placed in water under the enemy bridge. Once detonated, the explosion sends up a high-power water jet forceful enough to blast the concrete and metal used in the bridge. Combat engineers are also trained to deal with nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. Their special skills are deployed in decontaminating the affected individuals, vehicles, and the area in general.
There are a lot of times when you may not have those resources. You may have different situations, and the way you react to these are not tailor-made. You see, you have to be ingenious, and a lot of time you have to improvise, and all situations are different.
In the year 2010, the devastating cloudburst in Leh in the state of Jammu and Kashmir had created havoc on an unprecedented scale. The local civil administration felt completely handicapped in tackling this colossal tragedy. The Army engineers, along with the civil administrative authorities, took upon the challenge of restoring civil infrastructure on a war footing. And within just 1 month, most of the roads had become motorable and most of the bridges had been rebuilt. Normalcy in the region was restored much faster than what the civic administration had expected. With Sarvatra, meaning omnipresent, as their motto, the sappers are often the first ones to move into the battlefield and the last ones to leave. With their ingenuity and unwavering commitment to serve the nation, their proven ability to stand up to any challenge, their capacity to improvise, and their gumption to fight armed battles, the sappers have always been trailblazers during war and during peace. At the College of Military Engineering, the Mission Army candidates are going to receive a crash course as sappers. They shall learn to launch, handle explosives, assault bridges, remove landmines, and learn the art of denying mobility to enemy troops.
हमें मूव के ऑर्डर्स मिल चुके हैं। हमारा मोबिलाइजेशन 18 की सुबह 0600 आवर्स में शुरू होगा।
All future wars will be decided by the supremacy of information.
After the break, we take you inside the nerve center of the Indian Army, the Corps of Signals.
हमें मूव के ऑर्डर्स मिल चुके हैं। हमारा मोबिलाइजेशन 18 की सुबह 0600 आवर्स में शुरू होगा। हम अपनी लोकेशन पे 1000 आवर्स तक पहुंच जाएंगे और
In preparing for a battle, combat engineers are usually accompanied by another set of engineers and technicians.
Alpha 1 for Alpha 2, Alpha 2, Alpha 2 over. Alpha 2, you advance 3 to 4, 3 to 4, report mine over. 1 round, gunfire, over. Alpha 2 for Alpha 1.
These are men who use information and communication technology to set up, operate and maintain Army's communication network. Be it war or peace, they are the nerve centers of the Indian Army. These are the men from the Corps of Signals.
All future wars will be decided by the supremacy of information.
The Corps of Signals is spearheading a paradigm shift from platform-centric warfare to network-centric warfare.
The Corps of Signals are the information warriors of the Indian Army, men and women who allow each one of the 1.1 million soldiers in the world's largest volunteer army to communicate and coordinate with each other at any place across the length and breadth of the country and at all times, in all terrains, without fail. Signalers can be likened to the human nervous system.
Communication, they say, are like nerves of steel, without which neither the tail can wag nor can the mouth bite.
Today's warfare is not just a conventional war where two sides will fight using arms and ammunition. It is also cyber warfare, information security and cyber security.
Signalers in the Army collect, categorize and share inputs from a variety of sources with the commanders.
Battle commander needs to be updated at all times, and that is possible only when he has effective communication, so that he is in communication with his subordinate commanders. He can make his plans and he can amend his plans.
As and when the battle commander feels the need for setting up a communication center for launching operations, the communication center in charge does a quick recce of the area. The positioning of the signals convoy is finalized and marked with red flags. Subsequently, the convoy moves into the designated area. It immediately sets up the communications base, keeping all the technical and tactical considerations in mind. This communications center is tested and then immediately operationalized as per the battle commander's plan. Signalers belonging to Indian Army's Corps of Signals have always lived up to their motto of Tivra Chaukas, meaning swift and secure, during all the wars and peacetime actions, including counter-insurgency operations.
For the next 6 days, we will be testing your knowledge.
The Corps of Signals is known for using the latest in communication technology, be it the systems, software, or equipment. A signaler is a soldier with impeccable mastery of high-end electronic systems and internet protocol-based networking equipment. Rapid advances in technology have made the signaler's task that much more challenging.
There are various courses in Category A establishments like MCTE, which cater to upgrading officers, JCOs and other ranks.
Recruits hailing from engineering and technical backgrounds receive extensive training as signalers at various army and civil institutions in India, including the renowned Indian Institutes of Technology.
Good signal officer should have a technical bent of mind,
so that he can best utilize his equipment which is being issued to him optimally.
With their high fitness and endurance levels, coupled with excellent weapon handling skills, signalers, like the engineers, are proficient combatants. They carry weapons and participate in armed combats. Working in teams, they man exchanges, erect communication links, encrypt and deliver messages, lay telephone and data lines to forward posts in all kind of terrains.
Various terrains have got various features. Now we exactly know which kind of radio sets, which kind of equipment or which kind of backbone connectivity is going to function at the various terrains.
A combat signaler's job profile is quite different from that of telecom engineers working in the civil domain.
Because you have to establish the same scale of communication right from scratch. You have nothing, starting from the power source to the ground earthing to providing the same scale of circuit there and moving them on and off on an average of 4 to 6 hours every time is not a small thing by any means.
A combat signal is a self-contained unit, always ready with arms and ammunition. They can handle any attacks made by the enemy. During wartime field operations, signalers deploy mobile switching vehicles which work like a telephone exchange on the move. These mobile nodes provide wireless connectivity to troops on the move within a radius of 30 kilometers. These troops on the move are also known as gypsy subscribers. Indian signalers always use a mix of technologies. They seldom rely on a single technology. Each arm of the army, be it the infantry, artillery, mechanized forces, engineers, medical, ordnance or aviation, has a signals detachment attached with it. No troop movement or operation even takes place without a signals component. The success of special para operations depend largely on the inputs received from para pathfinders or para signals. A para signal is an elite subset of Corps of Signals. They specialize in providing communications for airborne and heliborne operations. The pathfinders carry radio sets and other communication equipment to conduct clandestine recce, which include identifying safe drop zones for commandos and secure landing areas for helicopters, usually in the enemy territory. Depending on the operational needs, signals equipment and signalers get para-dropped right into the war zone. There is more to the core of signals than warfare. They also excel in sports and adventure activities. The Daredevils have won many a heart on various occasions with their motorcycle riding skills. This display team belonging to the Corps of Signals has already 5 world records since 1991. Over the years, both the signalers and the combat engineers have evolved into highly professional units capable of delivering the knockout punch to India's enemies.
It's not a joke, this is serious stuff.
It's really great experience कि कैसा bomb explosion होता है.
Who will come out tops as a combat engineer after the break? In actual battle zone, various types of explosives are used. Mission Army candidates are given a feel of the same. First, the basics of explosives.
Safety fuse or detonator.
Combination of safety fuse and detonator is the requisite for the blast of a detonator. Detonator is the most sensitive ingredient in an explosive. Explosive doesn't blast without a detonator.
It's a real thing जो मेरे हाथ में है. इसकी वजह से किसी की भी उंगलियां कट सकती है अगर वो हाथ में फटा तो.
It's really great experience कि कैसा bomb explosion होता है.
It's not a joke, this is serious stuff.
जैसे ही बिसिल लगती है वैसे ही आग लगा दो.
This is their maiden attempt at detonating military explosives, and they cannot hold back their excitement.
फटने वाला है अभी मतलब. दूसरा रोहन, तीसरा मेरा, चौथा रुद्राशी, पांचवा प्रियंका का.
A combat engineer must know how to lay landmines to slow down enemies' progress. At the same time, he must also be an expert in defusing them to facilitate rapid mobility of their own troops. These landmines can be activated by pressure, tripwire, or even with the help of a remote detonator. Detecting them is a tedious process requiring a lot of patience and high level of alertness.
Prodding करते समय rudder का angle 30 डिग्री rod के बीच में 5 सेंटीमीटर और arrow का पोजीशन A से S पर किया जाए जहां पर माइन सेफ होता है.
A single mistake may lead to loss of limbs and even life.
मैं जब बहुत छोटी थी तब मैंने सुना था कैप्टन सुशांत गोडबोले नाम से कोई थे तो वो माइंस की ब्लास्ट की वजह से शहीद हो गए थे और मुझे आज उनकी याद आ रही थी.
बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा. माइंड को डेटोनेट करना भी सीख लिया हमने. ये बात बड़ी अजीब लगी कि कम से कम चीज़ों से पकड़ना ध्यान नहीं रहा था क्योंकि उन्होंने बताया कि ये जो उंगली है इससे ही होल्ड करना है और इससे करना है थंब से ताकि जब अगर कुछ हो भी तो यही मतलब खराब हो. ये सारी तीनों बची रहे तो बड़ा अजीब सा लगा जो उन्होंने ये चीज़ कही.
They also get to see a mine trawl in action. These are usually deployed when the engineers need to clear a minefield in a very short span of time. The sheer weight of this mine trawl triggers explosion in the landmines planted below the ground surface. As it is made of heavy armor, the exploding landmines fail to make a dent on the trawl tank.
मेरा इसमें क्रीटर का रोल था. बेसिकली मुझे माइंस मेरे हाथ में आ रही थी, मुझे पुश करके कन्वेयर करके थ्रू उसको नीचे जाना था.
The Flying Fox, or aerial rope slide, is deployed for quickly crossing natural and man-made obstacles like streams, gullies, marshes, etc. They also learn how to tie a bowline knot, a simple knot which makes a loop at the end of a rope that will not slip or get jammed.
जहाँ पर आपने हैंग होना उसके साथ उसको बांध कर हैंग हो जाएगी। छोड़ दीजिए ऊपर वाले रस्सी के, छोड़ दीजिए ऊपर वाले को, छोड़ दीजिए टिकट को छोड़िए।
Bridge building being one of their main functions, sappers must have all the skills necessary to navigate in water. They frequently use recce boats to study the area of operation.
मेरे को आती नहीं है, इसलिए थोड़ी घबराहट भी गिर गया तो।
This in turn helps them decide the kind of bridge that needs to be laid and work out all the related requirements. An army's ability to launch and destroy bridges at short notice can quite often turn the course of a battle. Mission Army candidates therefore go hammer and tongs in their bid to build this bridge.
1, 2, 3, up!
एक बंदे को वॉलंटियर करना था बिकॉज हैमर का हेड पानी में गिर गया था, तो अभी पता ही चल रहा है वॉलंटियर किसने किया। मैंने किया, बट आई फाउंड द हैमर हेड एंड देन जब सर ने बोला वैसे तुम पानी में हो तो वहीं से उसको लॉक कर दो, तो वहां से मैं हैमर करते करते लॉक किया।
आई एम चेकिंग माई कैलोरीज ऑन द कैलोरी काउंटर। तो बेसिकली आज मेरा 5 किलोमीटर्स का रन बैक था सुबह से, एंड आई हैड पनीर एंड रोटी फॉर लंच। सो लेट मी काउंट। I have burned 300 calories. I mean, not bad.
Time. Start. Now.
Will their stint at CME help them engineer success during the final task?
क्योंकि लाइव बॉम्ब से सारे जो भी हम करेंगे लाइव रहेगा। छोटी सी मिस्टेक हुई तो सीधा कहीं और ही मिलेंगे।
After the break.
भारत माता तेरी कसम, तेरे रक्षक रहेंगे हम। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। कोई दुश्मन कभी अगर भूले से निकले इधर, कोई दुश्मन कभी अगर भूले से निकले इधर, दीवारें हम बनेंगे मां, तलवारें हम बनेंगे मां, छूले तुझको है किसने दम। भारत माता तेरी कसम, तेरे रक्षक रहेंगे हम। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम।
Mission Army contestants assemble near the lower lake inside the College of Military Engineering. They are here to execute a combat engineering task that will require them to apply a little bit of everything that they have learnt at the CME. Their task involves blowing up a railway track in enemy territory. They have to rush across a rough terrain and reach the lake. Cross the lake using a raft. Go across a mined patch of land and remove at least 3 landmines. They then have to cross a 15-meter wide gully using a flying fox. Lift a 25-kilogram heavy backpack and cross over amid deafening explosions taking place all around. They have to place the explosive on the railway track.
This mission is not only going to test the limits of your physical endurance, but also your presence of mind.
How many of these 5 have what it takes to succeed as a combat engineer?
I'm nervous, definitely. But no, I'm not scared of what's going to happen. Whatever's going to happen, I'm going to do it.
Are you set?
Yes, sir.
On your marks. Your time starts now.
Rudrashish has followed the recommended practice of wearing a life jacket before getting into the raft. Rowing the raft puts heavy strain on the arms. Rudrashish has had issues with his upper body strength in the previous tasks. His problems are being further compounded by the breeze coming from the opposite direction. He nevertheless manages to reach the other bank in just 7 minutes. With explosions happening every now and then, this minefield simulates a realistic battlefield situation, full of risks and uncertainties. Prodding the land beneath, Rudrashish manages to find a landmine.
So I called out mine, I got the mine out, I took out the detonator, I put in the seepage plug.
You're left with 5 minutes.
He is wearing a spider boot anti-landmine footwear for additional safety. Anti-personnel landmines can be triggered by the foot pressure of a soldier who steps onto them.
Last 2 minutes.
Unable to find the third landmine, Rudrashish presses ahead with the remaining task.
Flying fox पार करने का समय 5 minutes.
The Flying Fox has left Rudrashish panting and puffing. His weaker arm strength is proving to be a liability like never before. Finding him stuck and struggling mid-air, the instructors decide to end his misery.
मेरे को उठाओ. तो यहाँ पे मेरी गलती थी. रोप लगाया, तो I don't know मैं उल्टा हो रहा था. सब मैंने कोशिश की लेकिन मैं पूरा नहीं कर पाया. हाथे सुनोगे, पैर सुनोगे मेरा. अभी देखना आगे क्या करना है. लेकिन it's not going good.
Undeterred by the blasts taking place all around him, Rudrashish manages to cross over the obstacle and lands in enemy territory. He puts together the explosive charge, primer, detonator and fuse wire and lays them on the railway track. Blast will happen only if all the components of the bomb have been assembled properly.
Short of satisfying when it comes to excellence. I wasn't at the level that I would expect myself to be.
Your time starts now.
The lake has to be crossed within 10 minutes. Rohan uses his strong arms to paddle through in just 5 minutes. He now has to detect and defuse at least 3 landmines in 5 minutes flat. He successfully manages to dig out and defuse 2 mines.
4 minutes left.
Mine.
Defusing the third one is proving to be a struggle. He decides not to waste his time on it and moves ahead. He is using the Flying Fox like a pro and quickly crosses over to the other side. He does not seem to be having a problem balancing himself on the narrow girder with this 25-kilo backpack. Combat engineers routinely carry such backpacks as part of their field tasks.
Oh my God. Great explosion.
Priyanka makes a wobbly start. But she manages to cross the lake and reach the minefield.
Fine.
She does a fabulous job of locating all the 3 mines, but finds it hard to defuse them.
Time is over. Come back.
She is now stuck in the middle and cannot decide which way to go.
I didn't give up. Time was up.
She has developed her own way of crossing the girder, but will her ingenuity find favors with the instructors? We don't know that yet. Live explosives need to be handled with extreme caution. Even a small slip-up can prove suicidal.
I played this type of task when I was young, 5-6 years old, and that time detonators, primer, that was not with me. But yes, everything is difficult, but nothing is impossible. So, perfect. Good.
पता नहीं आज का कुछ पता कह नहीं सकता, आज टेंशन हो गई थी क्योंकि लाइव बॉम्ब से सारे जो भी हम करेंगे लाइव रहेगा, तो कुछ भी हुआ तो छोटी सी मिस्टेक हुई तो सीधा कहीं और ही मिलेंगे.
Pursuing a postgraduate program in business administration, Kuldeep seems anxious about handling live explosives. But he does not let that nervousness come in the way and rows like a professional.
मुझे 4-5 की तलाश थी लेकिन दिखे नहीं कोई. पता नहीं है भी या नहीं है क्योंकि एनिमी टेरिटरी में पता नहीं होता कितनी माइंस है. लेकिन I tried to find out most of them, but I couldn't more than 2. So I am going on my next obstacle.
Though already exhausted by now, Kuldeep's willpower sees him through as he crosses this gully. Though slightly unnerved by these blasts, Kuldeep seems to be in control so far. Despite all his apprehensions, Kuldeep has managed to pull it off reasonably well.
ये थोड़ा मैंने 30 डिग्री का एंगल में भी रखा तो गलत रखा शायद थोड़ा कभी निकल जाए इसलिए लग रहा है. बाकी देखते हैं.
Rowing across the lake has sapped all the energy of Ila's arms. She is putting a lot of effort in cutting the barbed wire.
After 1 meter, I found one mine.
She succeeds in locating 2 landmines, but her timeline is out for third one.
Ila, your time is up. Ila, your time is up.
I think initially जब मैं बैठी थी तो I was very confident because my harness was perfect. I could put my weight on it and I was able to pull myself.
Ila would definitely score points for harnessing herself properly using the bowline knot. But the army instructors attach immense value to timely completion of tasks. daughter of a soldier, Ela remains unshaken by these blasts and stays focused on crossing the girder. She applies her learnings about explosives pretty well and sets off a mighty blast.
Finally, I have completed the mission and I'm very happy.
So time for the results. Are you all set?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Based on their overall performance in CME Pune, topping the list this time is Kuldeep Rana, followed by perfectionist Rohan. Rudrashish has to settle for third, Priyanka fourth, and Ela fifth. Their hair-raising encounter with a near-real combat situation has left them all supercharged. They leave the CME campus with their trademark Mission Army battle cry.